Hello, everyone, and welcome to Introduction to Graphic Design. In this particular unit, we want to examine color modes. On your screen, you will see I have a simple image and it says RGB and CMYK color modes. I also put samples of what these color modes actually look like. Right? For this particular tutorial, I want to lead you through how to create files in RGB and CMYK color modes inside of Adobe Photoshop. So the first thing you want to understand is that RGB color modes are generally used to design files for on-screen purposes. So files that you're going to look at on your mobile device, on a tablet, on screens where digital ads are displayed, things like that. For the CMYK color mode, right, you are going to be designing files that will be represented on printed media, on paper, can be on acetate, it can be on plastic. This is the color mode for anything that is printed. Now, somebody might be sitting there and you are saying to me, what does RGB mean? Okay, R, the letter R in the acronym means red, green means green, G, sorry, means green, and the B means blue. CMYK, on the other hand, the C means cyan, all right, and the M means magenta, and the Y means yellow. I'm going to just type the spellings of that for you so that you can see what that looks like. Yellow and of course black. Let me just reduce the size of that. I am doing this introductory part of the tutorial inside of Adobe Illustrator, but I will switch over to Photoshop as soon as I am ready with that. So as you see, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Those are the four colors in the CMYK color mode. And over here, we have the three colors for the RGB color mode. So, to recap, we have these two major color modes, RGB and CMYK. RGB means red, green, blue, and CMYK means cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. I will now switch over to Photoshop to show you how to create files in both of these color modes and how you may convert a particular file just in case you needed one in a particular color mode. Say you would have started in RGB and you needed it in CMYK for print, or if the converse is true, where you started your design in CMYK and you needed it in RGB. So I already have Photoshop open, so I'm just going to go to the base of my screen and just open Photoshop so that you can see the Photoshop interface. If you don't have Photoshop open, you may want to do that now. All right. So the first thing we want to do is to go to File on the menu bar in Photoshop, right? You'll know how to do that from your introductory lesson and select New, right? Photoshop will now, if you are using Creative Cloud, that is, give you this dialog box with some options here, right? Photoshop has made it easy for you. If you select one of the templates, if for instance you select print, if you come over here to the right, you will see size of the document. In this case, it is letter size right here, and the height is 11 inches and the width is 8.5 inches. Resolution is 300, which is a good thing for print files. So Photoshop has set that up for you. But when we come to the color mode, Photoshop defaults to the RGB color mode. Right? If you're going to design something for print, let's say a flyer that is going to be printed, you may change this, click on the drop down menu and change this to CMYK. You then come up to the top here and you will rename this file flyer. You may, maybe in my case, I'll just say flyer underscore print to distinguish it from another one that I may want to do for screen. I'm going to repeat the process. File, new for reinforcement, but this time I'm going to select web. When I select web, you'll see that my measurement is no longer in inches, it is in pixels. If you look where I have my cursor right now, it is in pixels. I'm going to keep this size, right? But I'm just going to change the orientation from horizontal here to vertical. So I have this narrow design. Also, you'll notice the resolution is 72 pixels per inch, right? I will explain more of that in another tutorial. Why the resolution for print is 300 while the resolution for screen is only 72. All right, there are a number of reasons, but I will explain that in another tutorial. For now, the color mode is RGB and you can click on create because that is okay. I'm just going to do a quick test design here. So I'm going to go over to my layers palette over here to my right, and I'm going to click on a new layer. And I like to tell people to name your layers appropriately. So I'm going to call this one layer Genesis, right? And over here in my toolbar, I am going to select the type tool. If you notice, when you hover over a particular tool, Photoshop tells you the name of the tool and also gives you a little animation so you can know the tool works. So I'm just going to click my cursor in the middle of my screen, and you will see that Photoshop gives you what is called placeholder text. You can delete that by holding on to Control and the letter A on your keyboard if you're on a Windows machine, or Option A if you're on a Macintosh or Apple computer, and you can just delete what is there. So I'm going to type Genesis Design, and I'm going to press Control on my keyboard and the letter A to select all of it. And right here up at the top here of my screen, right below my menu bar, is the standard or options bar, and I am going to just select a larger size font so that this is more visible for you. Press enter to create a different line there, and go over to my type palette to just reduce the size. I just highlighted the size of the type, which is 91 points, and I am pressing the down arrow on my keyboard in order to reduce the leading, which is what it is called, between the type. Right? I'm going to change the color here to another color for contrast so that it is easier for you. So right now, this is in RGB color mode because remember, I would have selected screen for this one. In fact, I didn't name my file for this one, so I need to go to File, Save, and I'm going to select Save on my computer, right? And I'm going to call it flyer underscore screen, right? And select a folder. I have a folder called 2021 work. I'll just save it in there, right? I'm going to go to File, Open, and just search for a random picture, right? Don't seem to have a lot of pictures on this machine, but okay, here's a picture. And I think this picture could work for our design. All right, so if you notice when I open this picture, it comes on its own tab. So to access it and to add it to my design, I first go over to the layers palette and just click on the little padlock icon in the layers palette, and that allows me to now edit the file. I'm going to click on the name of the file here in the tabs, and I'm going to pull toward me so I can now and move it from my face, if you will, so that I can see the design. I'm going to now click on my left mouse button and just drag this picture over onto my design and just click on the minimize option here in order to reduce. All right, so right now, the picture I just brought into my design, because of Photoshop works in layers, it is on top of my text. Right, so I need to go into my layers palette, click, hold on my left mouse button and just drag it below my text. And now move my text layer further up into the design. Click, hold on to Control on my keyboard, letter S to save, or I could go to File and scroll down to Save on the menu bar. So right now, my design is in RGB color mode. The resolution is 72, and let me just add a little color behind this image to make it a little more interesting. Over to my layers palette, create a new layer, go to my paint bucket tool and just click fill to get the foreground color there, and Control S to save, and that is done. All right, so that is how you create a file in RGB mode. From the beginning, you create it in RGB. Now, for this particular file that was in CMYK, right, the mode is now CMYK. It is set up for print. But what if I suddenly hear that this file that was set up for print only, right, now has to go for screen as well? I can convert the file. So I'm going to call this design Exodus design. I'm going to follow the same process, right? I'm going to call this one Exodus design. I'm going to find the same image, right? I'm going to drag it over into my design. If you notice, the image comes in much smaller than it did. Yes, so the reason for that smaller image is the resolution of 300 we had selected before. Because the resolution is higher in this document, the image would come in much smaller than for the smaller resolution document. As we proceed in the course, you'll understand more why this happens. But for now, I want to click File and Save. Save on computer. Again, I'll choose that. Flyer, print, save, and select OK. All right, so I have one file in RGB that remains for screen. I had this one here, Exodus, or rather the Genesis. Oh yes, Exodus. Yes, this is the Genesis. And I know here from the client that initially they had planned to do this only for print, but now they want it for screen. All right. So what I can do is to go to Image on the menu bar, scroll down to Mode, and select RGB. Once I do this, you notice Photoshop gives me this pop-up dialog box, and it says changing modes can affect the appearance of layers. Flatten image before mode change. Flatten, cancel, don't flatten. I'm going to select don't flatten because I want to continue to edit my file. If you look at your tabs once you have done this, you will see that it now says layer 1 RGB, which means the mode has changed, which means that when you save this file as a JPEG or a PNG, whatever you choose to upload it online, it will now be in the RGB color mode, right? To send it to the printers, more than likely the printers will convert it to CMYK again to make their final print. All right, so what have we seen so far? To recap, we know how to create a new file in Photoshop by selecting CMYK mode or selecting RGB mode. And we also know how to convert from one mode to the next.